Hi friends, welcome to LACC 215 Personal and Professional Assessment. I'm Dr. Jenny Harrop. I am your instructor for this term. I am chair of DPS and I am director of the Writing Center, and I am here to help you. I love this class. This is a challenging class. It is one of the best classes that we offer, and it's just a phenomenal opportunity that we allow students to walk in and earn credit for prior experiences. So if you've heard rumors about the workload of the class, if you have friends who've gone through the class, let me know if you have concerns. I know the rumors are out there. This class is a lot of work, so I hope that you will look at your next 8 weeks ahead of you and make sure that you can carve time to do some writing. You will produce over the next 8 weeks 3 8-page, roughly, papers. You will produce each of them twice. Once, you'll submit it. You'll get full feedback from me, you'll get feedback from your peers, and then you'll revise it and submit it again. The goal is to emerge from this course with 3 papers that are potentially ready to submit to the university for university credit. I'm going to back up just slightly in case you're not familiar with the purpose of this course. The purpose of this course is to learn how to write what we call a Kolb model essay. This is different from your standard essay format, which is usually an introduction, your body paragraphs, and conclusion. Our model, and we're going to walk into it slowly, we'll do a little bit this week, I'll talk about it in more detail next week, is based on the theories of David Kolb. The idea is that if you've had an experience and you're able to articulate it in the 4 chunks that David Kolb recommends, you will be able to better learn from the experience and ultimately teach others from your experience. It is the best way that we've learned how to teach you to articulate your learning so that you can write it in an essay, share it with someone you probably will never meet, a professor most of the time down in Newburgh, who will read your work, decide what level of learning has occurred, and then assess what amount of credits you might earn. The goal for each essay is to earn 2 to 3 university credits, which, if you think about it, that's the equivalent of an entire university course. Is excellent. Some people will earn 1 credit, sometimes a portion of a credit, and sometimes those lucky students might even earn more than 3 credits. The more than typically happens when you've got a learning experience that spans over a number of years, in addition to a phenomenally well-written essay. We can talk about that as time goes on. Here's what I want you focusing on this very first week of class. Number 1, I want you looking, of course, on our Foxtel site at the syllabus. Let me know if you have questions. The next, if you look at the very top of our Foxtel site, you'll see the syllabus first. Next is the PLA Student Guide. I'm asking you for reading for this first week to read through the sample essay number 1. But I never require you to actually go through the beginnings of the PLA Student Guide, which is completely critical to understanding what these essays even are. So I would say this first week, dive right in from page 1 of the Student Guide and read through what the requirements are for the essay. What you're also going to find in there are professional certification submissions. This class does not cover professional certification submissions really, but it kind of does. So let me explain it. If you have experience in the workplace and you have some that you have a certificate, you have some kind of very distinct documentation for, you might be able to submit it as a professional certification rather than write an essay. So as you're brainstorming this week different topics that you might do for our course this term, I want you to think first through what professional certifications you might have, and then send me an email if you're not sure if they might qualify or if the certification information you have is enough to qualify. Those I would recommend once we finish this course that you submit those first. It can save you from writing a whole essay. You will still need to come up with learning outcomes for each of those certifications, but you will not have to write a full 8-page essay. Most students either don't have that level of documentation or they have some kind of a learning experience that wasn't actually sitting in a classroom, so to speak, in the workplace. Those are the kinds of things that you might write an essay about. If you start going through the PLA Student Guide, rather than just having me spew a bunch of ideas, you'll see lists of potential essay topics. You'll see in the sample essays that we have compiled there different examples that hopefully will get some ideas going. I'm looking at my other computer if my eyes keep going over here. The third thing I want you to be looking at is the prior learning assessment homepage. It's a live link there. You can click on it and just peruse through the different information there. There's an excellent document, for example, about learning outcomes, which is your first assignment due next Sunday night. Other things that I want to call your attention to are the reading assignments for this course. You'll be reading from the PLA Student Guide, and then you'll be reading from a book by William Zinsser. If you've not yet purchased it, get it quickly. You have your first assignments are due at the end of this week by Sunday midnight. And the book, I think you'll find, is very, very readable. He's got just a little edge of sarcasm in the way that he writes, and I know that you'll enjoy it. On occasion, we'll be writing about those readings in the discussion forums, so you will be addressing them throughout the course. What I want you focused on as well are the learning outcomes for your first assignment due on Sunday night. This is a learning outcomes exercise. When you click on the link under the January 8 through 14 site, I think you'll see that the assignment itself is fairly detailed. I put a sample in there so that you have a sense of what I'm looking for. The reason we start with these is that they really are the most challenging to write. I am not looking for perfection here, and I am looking for you to come up with learning outcomes for 3 different essays that you will write over the next 8 weeks. The purpose of this assignment is for me to start having a dialogue with you about this particular topic. Maybe it's not quite going to be university level learning. Let's think about something else. Or here's a way to tweak your learning outcomes so that they will earn you the credit that you deserve. It's a way for you and I to start a conversation going. So the goal there is to simply do the best that you can, to think through over the next few days 3 potential essay topics. If you're struggling, if you really have no idea, I'm here. Just send me an email. I'm happy to talk it through with you. If you want to come to campus, my office is on the 2nd floor. I'm in the coffee shop, or I'm not in the coffee shop, but I'm in the wing just behind the coffee shop. And I'm always available for a Zoom video conference if that's easier for you. So do not sit agonizing about this. I want you continually having conversation with me. Another thing that I want you thinking about is for your discussion forum, not for this week. You have one due this Wednesday, but the one that's due next Wednesday, I'm going to ask you to do a video similar to what I'm doing here. You can use anything that makes sense to you if you've made videos before. If you haven't, QuickTime is an easy one. That's what I typically use. It's built into Apple products. If you don't have Apple, there are a variety of other things that you can use. You can check with me if you're not sure. It is very helpful if you can upload it to YouTube. Every one of you, because you have a George Fox email, you have automatically a YouTube account. If you haven't opened it yet, go into YouTube and you'll find it's pretty easy to open up. You can load then whatever film you have done. I mean, you can take a movie just with your iPhone if you want to. It's not that difficult to do. Load it up into YouTube, and then you can share the link with the rest of us for your discussion forum next week. So a week from Wednesday. I'm just giving you a little heads up. I want all of us to see one another from early on in this course so that we know best how to help each other and how to affirm and support each other through really what's a pretty dense term in terms of the amount of writing. And I think that you'll find that working through some of these ideas, the learning that you've gone through, can be cathartic in some ways for a lot of students. Keep in mind that your experiences do not have to be in the workplace. It could be that you've had a personal experience that was some kind of profound learning that could potentially be taught in a university classroom. So I'm going to cut this video off in just a minute. I don't want to make it too long, but I do want to say to you that as you're thinking of learning experiences, keep in mind that it needs to be something that, as I just said, potentially could be taught in a university classroom. One way to think about it might be, I've had students before, for example, write about the death of a parent. Now, if I'm a traditional 19-year-old undergraduate student down in Newburgh and I have a parent die, I'm not going to get college credit just for going through that experience, right? So then why should you? The thought is, and the reason that we have prior learning assessment, that adult students who are returning to university process things in a much more mature way and are able to learn from and then articulate their learning in a way that can make it university level learning. So I've had students write about, to continue my example, the death of a parent, talk about what they learned about hospice care, what they learned about the psychology of caring for the elderly. Those are just some examples. Do you see where I'm headed with that? Things that potentially could be taught in a counseling course, a psychology course, a healthcare administration course, those kinds of things. As you're thinking about the learning outcomes, I want you to thinking about what kind of outside resources you might pull in. You don't need to go dig up a textbook. It can be as simple as a Google search to see what kinds of language, for instance, about hospice care is currently out there. What kinds of conversations are out there? How might that relate to the experience that you had? All right, I hope this is enough to get some ideas going, not to scare you, but to get the ideas going early on. Again, if you have questions, if you are pondering things and you're not sure if you're headed in the right direction, let me know. I'm an email away. Blessings on your week.